T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
What it do, folks? Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, WWT Live, the #1 wrestling. That's what happens when you try to do 3 things at one time. The #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. We got a lot to talk about. So as you can see, well, not as you can see, last 2 weeks I've been kind of off. I feel like 98% great. So let's get into it. A lot of drama has happened over the last 2 days. Apparently a little bit of drama was happening in our chat. So I'm interested to see how it's going to be going. We have 1 and 2. Hey.
Give that man a knuckle sandwich.
Oh my God. If you guys even only
stay out
knew.
my shine. Yo, trying to take my shine. Get your own light.
I just figured it would be cool for like a reunion because we haven't recorded in a minute. So Black excellence, and he want to be that person. So I apologize.
So
get your own limelight. Take now.
I apologize for unprofessionalism.
The host of the Mixed Tag Show, both of them in on the same day, same time. So I'm gonna let you all tag team whoever is gonna pitch this story. Let's go with it.
All right, so if you haven't found out already, this past Friday, we found out that Vince McMahon retired out of nowhere with a tweet to the world from WWE. That came out of, again, shocked a lot of us, and we didn't see that coming. But apparently he's been in the works for the past 10 days for his close circle. So there's already decisions being made and people being put into place. One including, which we find out this morning, is that now not only has Triple H took his role back at Talent Relations, he also is now head of creative for WWE, and that was a shocker this morning. We got a lot of mixed reactions on Twitter, on Instagram, and on the socials about this. But before I say how I feel, I wanted to know how you guys feel about it.
Well, we've been talking about this in the chat, right? I basically have called Vince McMahon Satan, the devil, Lucifer, everything, all the above. So I'm
some good names.
It's well deserved, and I'm ecstatic. Listen, I understand as a wrestling fan for so many years, I get what he's done for, this business. But at the end of the day, evil is evil, and all the things that he's done, and this excluding this, this is just finally coming out. But all the things he's done in the past, it's when do you finally, get punished for all the things he's done? So, I hate to say I'm ecstatic for someone's downfall, but hey, I am. And not only that, it gives us hope that now we can see change specifically with WWE and the culture that's been going on for so long. I guess, and you mentioned in regards to Triple H, like I said, back in, 2019, when the superstars, that whole situation in Saudi where they got held up, and then, they had to scramble last minute for that SmackDown right after, I think, what was it, Crown Jewel? I can't remember the pay-per-view.
One of those butt shows.
It was one, and they had to, at last minute, and who wound up running SmackDown? It was Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and that was a fire episode of SmackDown. And then you already see what he does with NXT, right? So it's just, I just feel like it's a new day, you know, in when it comes to WWE, and I'm very, 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 very excited. I would have went to Raw if Triple H was already
announced this past weekend,
and
right?
He was part of creative, and I would be more inclined to go. But it's still some loose strings they gotta, you know.
You gotta fix up.
What
about you, TK?
I understand how you're feeling. However, maybe I've like watched or read way too many like villain books and trilogies and like, you know, all those biographies and stuff like that. I feel like definitely
Vince McMahon stories that's been passing around for the past 30, 40 years.
Right. And it's not a new story per se. You have somebody who we can't take away that he's a creative genius. You can't take away everything that he's built, right? However, when somebody has that type of power, you see it over and over again. They do things because they think that they can get away with it. So at the end of the day, it's like, you know, this is one person who kind of sort of is going to be punished, but like, what's the punishment per se? His daughter and his son-in-law are running, and not to take away any shine from them. It's not like they don't know what they're doing. They've been in the game for a long time. But, you know, I think I said this on the chat on Friday. I feel like just with Vince McMahon, it's like you might think that he's gone, but at 77, 78 years old, given the fact that we just saw him at WrestleMania, it's just one of those things where I don't think he has too much life. It wasn't like he was slowing down. So for him to just be like, all right, I'm out completely, I think he's going to find a way, or there's something brewing in the background. I don't know. Maybe I watched too many, you know, of those, like, you think the person's dead, those Marvel movies, you think they're dead, but think again. So, you know, that's my feeling on it. I feel like the people involved definitely should get their just due. However, I honestly don't think it's like a Disney movie, and I don't think that people who do bad things always pay how we think they should.
Listen, I agree with you. Again, we were mentioning this in the chat. Like, I don't think Vince McMahon is necessarily going to get punished at 77. Like, he reminds me of Trump, or like you mentioned, other people who are in power. It's just they don't get away with stuff like they do get away with stuff like this. And I feel like it's, you know, all right, he might relinquish power some way, somehow, but at the end of the day, he's still going to be a billionaire. He still is a major, the majority stakeholder in the company. So, you know, his day will come when his judgment day, and that's when I feel like he'll get his, you know, what's coming to him. But with that said, I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm intrigued and encouraged. Hopefully, that we're going into a new direction. But there's still a lot of people that are still in power. Like, I think Kevin Dunn is still there. Like, we haven't heard anything.
For now, there's talks that he's going to be released as well.
And then, you know, so like I said, there's still a lot of things that have to be cleared up. And I'm sure there's still so many people in that company, toxic personalities that need to be removed. So I'm encouraged and feel like this should be a step in the right direction, just because I feel like Lou and I have had this conversation on our show multiple times. I felt like wrestling was about to become obsolete, honestly, just in the direction where everything was going. It just seemed like there was really no hope. I mean, you have AEW and other promotions, but I just really feel like it wasn't going to be a thing where it's really in the limelight. So I'm encouraged. Like, hopefully they have newer minds that like just can give something new and fresh, because what they were giving us for the past couple of years is just draining, and I had enough.
I feel like that's most of us. And honestly, like for a person like me, like if you haven't followed the show, I stopped watching WWE like I'll say for a good like almost a year now. If it hasn't been a year, I just stopped watching WWE because it just was the same old things over and over again. And it's like the same matches and the same storylines. The people that you love is not getting the recognition they deserve. Shout out to Sasha. It just was getting to the point where it's like, all right, it's like abusive relationship. Like I just can't do this anymore. Like I was gonna step away. I watch from afar. I just watch some pay-per-views. It's not like I'm missing anything anyway. But I know that for a lot of people, when they sort of, like, including myself, when you see the announcement that Triple H is taking over creative, it's like, all right, bet. So now we're going to have like basically a hard reset. Let me see what he got to do, because we love NXT Black and Gold. We love NXT when their stars was popping off before it was Black and Gold. You know what I'm saying? From the Sasha days to the Adam Cole days to, the Oscar reigns and all that stuff. We've loved it, what he done creatively. So we interested to see how he runs it this way. I know a lot of people was worried about, again, like the old people that's still in charge, but like Bruce Pritchard is getting demoted. Like to me, that was like a funny spun the block, because in reality, there was a lot of rumors that he was the reason why Triple H was kind of taken down from NXT. So to see everything play out the way it does is interesting in that sense of fact. So there's a lot of, I know we're gonna the group is gonna talk about this a little bit later. A lot of people's gonna look at this and want to come back now. Like, think about it. Johnny Gargano is still a free agent. He didn't sign with anybody, and the main reason why he didn't sign is because he didn't want to go to the main roster. So now does his mindset change as he heads into this? As we go into this new era for WWE, and there's people that's still lingering that we don't know what's happening with them. Not gonna say no names. I'll say that for a little bit later. So make sure you stay tuned in. Like, what's happening with those people? So there's a lot going on with this. And in terms of like Vince McMahon, the Fed's been trying to, like, I think somebody said this in the chat, or somebody said this somewhere I've seen it. The Fed's been trying to get Vince for a minute. So they're not about to let this go. Like, just like this. Like, this is like embezzlement. This is like sexual harassment. Like, they're gonna, and for me, I feel like for him to take the steps that he's been taking, it's definitely gonna be something major that's gonna take place, because when have you ever saw a threat to Vince to the point where he has to step down as CEO and then 10 days later announce a retirement? Unless he's trying to dip off to one of those countries where he gets like immunity or something like this. I don't know how far it could go for him, but it's definitely not safe for Vince right now.
And before you say that, we're going to have Mr. Bonner join, because he's going to kind of give us some more details on that as well. So a lot of these stories are going to just blend into it. If you got to go blue, I got you. But you already know.
What it is. I can stay for a little bit longer.
If you got to bring up specific names, I'm here, because we have to finish this conversation. Remember, like when my mic or my laptop froze and they knew we were getting.
Oh yeah, you definitely.
She's trying to put everybody's spotlight tonight. You see this? Like, nah.
Wow.
Mr. Bonner, how are you doing today? Welcome.
I'm great. I'm sorry to step in the middle of this turf war here. Please forgive me. Jeez.
My apologies.
All
you should apologize for your still-ins. Like, nah.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Right.
Well,
it's fun. I miss doing it. I'm sorry. It's fun.
Hey, it's good to be back. I missed you guys. I was away for a little bit, but boy, has the world changed. So obviously we're talking about Vince McMahon and him retiring, right? And I put that in air quotes because I think we have to.
Everybody does.
Well, you have to, because when you understand this is not Vince voluntarily walking away from WWE. Like to Blue's point, a few weeks ago when the first Wall Street story came out, he went on to SmackDown that night. Like, hi, here I am. Went on a good WWE tour to SmackDown and Raw and all these places. Well, now
jumping off steps.
Well, right, all of that, right? So the retirement is really something that gets him out of the WWE eye, but it does not get him out of the radar of this investigation. The investigation is continuing, and it is scathing. So there's another story that broke today on CNBC that says that apparently there is another $14.6 million in previously unrecorded expenses, allegedly paid by Vince to cover up yet more sexual impropriety. So basically what we're looking at right now, So wait. You're going to need that for this one, because from the 3 stories we've now seen, Vince has paid over $30 million to keep people's mouths shut. Let's be clear. That is officially 7 times what he paid for all of WCW and their library. This is major. Now, here's the other thing where we ought to really get concerned, because this is not just some internal board investigation. This information has been given to the SEC. That's the Securities and Exchange Commission. That is very problematic, because what they do is they investigate this kind of financial situation. And this is serious, very, very serious. So for all of the talk that Vince may not face any sort of repercussions, when these folks get involved, they're getting involved to find things and prosecute things. So this is now in places where Vince McMahon and the WWE haven't been before. So it's one of the reasons, and I told you guys a couple of weeks ago when we asked, would Vince end up leaving? I told you, if it costs the WWE money, Vince is going to be taken out of here. And that's clearly what we're seeing. And I believe in these scenarios, they gave Vince an opportunity. You can retire or you can be fired. So he chose the route of retirement. Here's another proof that WWE is really trying to distance themselves. And this is the scary part. Look back at what happened Friday night on SmackDown. Friday night was the go home for Vince McMahon. It started with Stephanie McMahon in the ring, who has this really brief speech, ultimately says Vince McMahon has retired, gets the crowd in a thank you, Vince chant, and there's no more mention of Vince McMahon the entire show. Now, Think about this. Everybody who's ever retired from WWE, you had HBK, Ric Flair, Edge, Daniel Bryan. When they all retired, there was this big, video package with this beautiful music, all of their career highlights. They came out for a wonderful speech. The rest of the locker room stood out and applauded them. People cried. That didn't happen, folks. The creator of this whole modern era of pro wrestling retires, and all you tell him is thank you, Vince. And Stephanie looks in the camera. This was telling to me. Stephanie looks in the camera and said, I love you, Dad. Yo, are you kidding me? I'm telling you guys, there is so much that WWE knows right now on Vince that the best thing they're doing is distancing themselves. Now, this is going to scare some people, but that broadcast Friday night reminded me of, we talked about this name a couple of weeks ago. You remember when Chris Benoit passed away? And that first night, they did a 3-hour tribute show to Chris Benoit because they didn't have all the details. The next night, Vince McMahon gets on television and he says, the name Chris Benoit will never be uttered on this television program again. And then they proceeded to have a program like there was not a whole funeral presented the night before. That's exactly what happened here Friday night, folks. That is exactly what happened. Nobody mentioned Vince's name. No mention from any of the commentators. None of the wrestlers said, thanks, Vince. Nobody. That speaks volumes. So let me just tell you now, expect more to come out on Vince McMahon. And I think we have to be careful. This is honestly starting to remind me. Do you guys remember what happened to Joe Paterno several years ago? When he was the longtime coach of Penn State. He had won all these awards. And then suddenly the news starts coming out that he had some issues going on. He gets removed.
It was more than issues.
Well, I'm being kind, right? So major things happened with him. They turned around. They took his statue down. They took him out of office. And not long after that, he left this earth. Now, I'm not trying to speak death on Vince McMahon, but what I am saying is when people with this kind of power have this kind of fall, I know some are talking about, he's going to weave his way back in. I don't know about that. because I don't think that I'm sorry.
That's what we was saying in the chat, alluding to that essentially, something like that.
Yeah,
I think he's too much of a narcissistic to, like, I don't.
But they're the first ones to do it because they want to be in control of their own lives.
I understand, but I think, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I just feel that someone like that can't really process the magnitude of the stuff that he's done. I keep bringing up Trump, but he's literally like Trump's twin. Like, is going to continue to do his stuff, but and pretend like he didn't do anything wrong. That's how I feel Vince is going to operate for the rest of however long he's here.
Jenna, to that point, here's what's different about this. And I mentioned this before. When Vince was fighting the federal government in the steroids case, he got on TV every week and screamed his innocence. I'm innocent. I didn't do this. They're trying to take me down. I'm going to take them out. And then he was proven innocent. At no point during this entire process has he said, I'm innocent. Instead, he stepped down as CEO. He decided to go to creative.
Then they sent out Titus.
I don't even want to get into that, right?
Let's talk about that.
When he went on TV, he did the aversion technique that we would do when we were kids and about to get a whipping. Right? We're about to get a whipping. Our parents are going to spank us. So now, Mommy, I love you. You're so wonderful. Daddy, you're so great. They're like, get over here. I'm about to tear that hide up. And so Vince decides, if I don't talk about it, nobody will care. Vince has avoided this like the plague, which is the ultimate implication of his guilt. So I think now where he may be concerned is he's dropped 30 million that we know about. There's probably more that we know about. There's probably more. And I don't think people expect these things to catch up with you. And I think that's what's happening with Vince. It is a situation, and it's why creative has had the problem it's had, because Vince has not been able to connect with what's really going on in the world. The world has changed. Because the world has changed, creative needs to change, but because the world has changed, now the powerful men and the people of power who have wielded their power and abused it and taken advantage of people are all being impacted. And it's been happening like that for years, thanks to the Me Too movement. So Vince is going to have to be very careful, because at this point, he can't cover up whatever else they're going to find. And I understand that WWE is now going to be going in and correcting some of their financials, because their financials did not include this information about Vince. So this is
those
tricky,
financials, guys. The financials just on a super small scale, dealing with those financials and balancing the books and all that stuff, and then having somebody in a position of power who can dip in because all they have to do is sign is crazy. Right. And I guess my question, because we've experienced this over the last maybe 5 years, as far as people being taken down, or people, like the truth is coming to light.
Right.
How do we separate, or do we separate the man who's created WWE? Because I like how you spun it on Friday. It's like still taking away the fact that the product is still existing, and the person who created the product is still there. Do we not necessarily celebrate the man and give him 200 roses, but I feel like there should be some type of acknowledgement? Or do we just say, nah, you had this opportunity, you squandered it, and now you're paying the price, and you don't deserve that acknowledgement? We're in that world now where there's a lot of different, we can go through all the examples of how do we celebrate the creator with that, or do we just take the product as like the creator never existed?
Right. It's the question of, do we separate the art from the artist, right? And so the interesting thing is, Vince isn't the first case of this. We've had tons of cases of this over these last few years with the Me Too movement, where we ask ourselves, okay, do we no longer watch A Different World? Do we no longer watch The Cosby Show? Do we throw all of this art away? Some people will say the same thing about R. Kelly. Do we throw his art away with that?
Yeah.
Right. Do you throw the songs away? And if you do that, then do you throw the songs he wrote away that were sung by other artists? Do you throw the songs away that he produced? Here's my take on it. I think this is calling for us as humans to have to understand the complicated nature of humanity, right? Humanity is this unique mixture of good and bad, right? And so we now have to be able to say, hey, I can't deny what Vince created with WWE. You know, we may not have liked all the storylines, but he took a regional promotion, changed the business by making it both national and global, took a business and made it $1 billion business, and a lot of people were able to eat. Quite frankly, we're able to do what we do now because of what he created. We can't deny that. I think we're going to have to get to the point where we can say, Vince created something amazing. He was a business juggernaut, a creative genius, and probably a horrible human being at the same time. And these two truths can both exist.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but a lot of times when I feel like the celebration of like these artists and separate the art from the artist, I understand. But like, for instance, with the R. Kelly situation, Chris Benoit situation, it's kind of like you got to keep the same energy, in my opinion. Like, in this case, I'm not saying what he did is as bad as what Chris Benoit did or not, because it affects the people in different ways. But my thing is that a terrible human being should never be put on a pedestal, in my opinion. Like, we could say, like, yo, WWE is dope. We give out, you know what I'm saying? We pay. Look at Hulk Hogan. Like, he did a lot for the business as well, but we got his ass out of here. Excuse my language. We got him out of here when he started speaking his truth. So it's kind of like we could always look at the product without the artist, in a sense. Like, with R. Kelly, in terms of like writing, we can't fault the artists that he wrote for and penalize them for what they didn't have anything to do with, but we can stop it at his songs. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the same thing with WWE, in my opinion. Like, yes, a lot of us, WWE was the first love for us for wrestling, and we could never take that away. We could acknowledge that and give that to WWE. We don't have to give it to WWE and Vince. You know what I'm saying? We could give it to the product, in my opinion. That's the way I look at it.
So when you say that, so you brought up R. Kelly as an example, you can't fault the artist that he wrote for, and obviously whatever. But at the end of the day, he wrote those said songs, right? And then with in regards to R. Kelly songs, like "Step in the Name of Love," "Ignition," whatever, do you stop listening to it? Because then, for that matter, then that by that same token, you're not gonna watch WWE at all, even if he's out of power. Because at the end of the day, he created WWE. So that's like, I hear what you're saying, but it's like that's why an internal battle with, like, I know for me, it's like, you know, R. Kelly's music from the 90s. That's how I grew up in the 90s. But, you know, at the end of the day, he assaulted so many women and affected so many, not even women, but people in general. So it's like an eternal battle that a lot of people have.
Well, when I say that is because even though Vince was at the head of it, Vince was the only reason why these products was amazing. You have to give it to the other, like the wrestlers, people that work backstage, the writers, and so on and so forth. So you can't erase all of that because they put in work as well. And that's the same thing with the artists that he wrote for. They put in the work as well for those songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel like you could disconnect where you need to disconnect that, because the product is not just Vince's product. You know what I mean? Like, Shane McMahon put work into that. Steph put work into that. Linda put work into that. All those wrestlers from back in the day that we loved, The Rock, Stone Cold, they all put their sweat and tears to make that product what it is. He just funded the money and threw some creative.
Understood. But at that point, again, you bringing up the example of R. Kelly, you said it in regards to the artist. So, like, a specific song, like, again, "Step in the Name of Love," he wrote it.
It's still in, like, wedding songs. But it's still like a wedding song. People still listen to that.
I'm not, that's what I'm saying. You're saying you don't listen to it, but going to your point, there's a whole production team that went into creating the song. Yeah, he might have wrote it, but I'm sure in regards to composing it and, you know, mixing the song and stuff, there's a lot of people that go, like, there's one person doesn't create a song. It's a whole team.
I understand that.
So that's what I'm saying. Going to that point, I know it's going a little off topic because we're focusing on wrestling, but, like, do you really stop listening to a specific song just because it's the artist, but there's a whole team that actually helped created it? Because going to your point with WWE, yeah, Vince might have funded the money and did this, that, and the third, but there's a whole slew of people over the years that has helped make WWE what it is today. So that's what I'm saying.
And the difference between the two is that Vince was, I mean, let's stop talking about R. Kelly because that's a whole nother I'm going to. But with Vince McMahon, it was kind of one of those things that he was a true leader, right? And if he was a terrible leader, taking away the bad things that he's done. If he was a terrible leader and didn't have great ideas, then people wouldn't have wanted to work for the company. Like, there's just so many other accolades there. I think every scenario is just slightly different based off of the industry, based off of how that person was in a position of power, stuff like that. And you know, and the relationships. And I think somebody commented for like the past 5 years, it was really hard to watch WWE. However, it has been. However, except for maybe Blue, if you go on Raw or SmackDown, you go on Twitter, everybody's still talking about it. There's still post shows about it. You know, we still complain about it. We still watch the product. So like, we can't take away all of that. But I mean, at the end of the day, this just seems like a story that's just writing itself, and we're just watching what happens.
Bring back Sasha and Naomi. I'm sorry.
I do believe it could happen. I do believe because of the money, and because the money was outweighing a lot of the finances, that was Vince's ultimate takedown. Do I believe once they get to the bottom of everything, are we going to see Vince in jail of any sort? I highly doubt it. However, if he does go, I mean, Martha Stewart went to jail.
That point.
Exactly.
That point.
There you go.
So
Bill Cosby went to jail, and he's not currently not in jail. So,
so I mean, that's what I'm saying with people. When people amass that amount of money, it's a little bit different. And I just maybe because I've seen so many, you know, stories like that, I'm more of a pessimist in thinking like, okay, well, yeah, he got caught and he can step down. But, you know, you think of the owner for the Clippers, he stepped down, but he still stepped down into his multi-million-dollar house.
Exactly.
All that other stuff. Speaking of somebody who's, what are you going to say?
No, I was just going to say it's going to cause us to redefine what we call justice, right? And I think in a case like this, you know, as wrestling fans, I don't know that we expect Vince McMahon to go to jail. And I think if we're completely honest, many of us are still trying to wrap our minds around the idea that Vince is really gone from WWE. That is probably a much bigger punishment than going to jail or any sort of sanctions or anything else. So that's going to be the thing that we're going to have to see. What does Vince look like outside of WWE?
That's true. Blue, you hanging with us, or you got the kids to feed?
No, I'm out. I gotta do the family dinner thing.
Nope, I'm out.
I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, pitch your stuff.
Great conversation, though. Great conversation.
Where can we find you? All the shirts, all that good
Blue
stuff.
Magic Grind, Spearhead Sound, For Your Wear. Shout out to the Mixed Tag Show. I guess you can follow the one that's underneath me too. At Miss Jenny Baby BYBE. The Mixed Tag Show will be back. We're gonna set a date out there very soon. If you haven't already, cop Mercedes Renato's Queen t-shirts. They're out.
Don't cop the shirt.
She's a hater. She got one already. That's why she's saying that. She already got hers. So cop the shirt on For Your Wear. Shout out to all the clients and all the podcasters on there. And shout out to my man Trips. Today the stocks went up like $4 because he's announced creative. So there you go.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, peace out, everybody.
Thanks, Blue. Jenna, you staying with us? Or are you hopping out too?
What's the next subject?
The subject that you want to talk about is gonna be after this subject.
Okay. Okay, because I gotta do something. Okay, I'll be back. All
right, you can come back. You more than welcome.
I appreciate y'all.
We got you.
Right.
All right. Well, Jenna's gonna be coming back. But you know, we have a very special. He's here in every day. He switched the times a little bit because, you know, I don't know what he was up to this week. But we have Mr. Kane McCoy in the building.
Gang. What up, everybody?
Did you miss him?
Yeah, I mean, hello everybody, and for the record, I'm here on my hit time. You know, I just had to take some time out by myself to mourn the loss of Vincent Kennedy McMahon as he departs us from WWE. Mr. McMahon has gone, and we also going to mourn the loss, allegedly, apparently, possibly, of Jonathan Gresham, from ROH AEW, whatever you want to call it. Gresham, there you see with his octopus mask, which he did not wear this past Saturday in the main event opening match against Claudio Castagnoli for the ROH World Championship, has requested his release from ROH. It reported that he ran up on Tony Khan and said, hey man, me and you need to have a conversation. Now let's recap Jonathan Gresham's rise from, pure champion to Ring of Honor champion and how we got here. So essentially back in December, Gresham won the vacant ROH World Championship at Final Battle, asterisk, end of an era, asterisks. It was back on December 11th, 2021. He beat his mentor, Jay Lethal. The title was vacant because Bandito, who was champion at the time, had that, he had that little cough situation going on, that COVID. Or as we call it now, beta monkeypox. He had that COVID happening. And of course, that ends up with him taking on Bandito to unify the titles, the undisputed title, later on at Super Card of Honor, which was already signed, sealed, delivered, booked before the con man, Tony Khan, purchased ROH, combining it with AEW, owning both companies, as the card was already booked. So things get interesting. We see Gresham go over Bandito, and we're like, oh, he might be the guy. Okay, wow, he retains champion, undisputed champion. Samoa Joe pulls up, everyone shows their face and all that. I'm like, okay, this is cool. John Gresham, in this whole time period since December, has literally gone around the world, literally around the world, defending the ROH World Championship. Probably the most purest world championship there was in wrestling at this time, because he was literally going to Germany, wrestling in WXW, going to England for Progress Wrestling, going all around the world, different companies here in America, going to Impact, going to smaller shows, and defending that title, basically keeping that ROH name relevant, if you will. So we go to now what's going on. We see that he's about to defend the title against Claudio, and it's like, oh, my man's about the job, ain't he? But you know what? Claudio could maybe be the guy to kind of elevate Gresham to be that face of the new ROH. It's like, okay, he takes on old school ROH and shows that he's the guy. And we see that the news comes out about a week ago, that for AE Dark, Gresham's taking on Jordan Oasis, and Gresham emerges without the ROH championship. Spoiler alert, because this episode of Dark is going to air after Death Before Dishonor happens. So that kind of told you everything you needed to know right there, that damn, my man's Gresham is about to drop. And that really sucked, because Gresham had an interview about a week ago speaking about, look, there's all these white dudes without gimmicks who are just wrestlers. Because there's been a thing about Gresham. What's his gimmick? What's his gimmick? What's his gimmick? But he's like, there's hella white dudes without gimmicks who just wrestle and you love them. Hello, I'm the guy. I think Gresham is great at what he does. I think that, yeah, he might be 5'4". They say list him at 5'7". He said, no, tell him I'm 5'4" and watch me whoop some ass. I commend Jonathan Gresham for what he is. People try to take away and find something he's not, but he's a wrestler. I thought we liked technical wrestling. Do we not like technical wrestling? Somebody with some pigment while they're technically wrestling? I mean, the guy just wrestles. He's really good at what he does. And to see him drop the title in 8 minutes in the opening contest, I thought he looked good against Claudio. I thought the match was very well. There was a couple dope spots in there, but I thought that really sucked. We talked about the card on Thursday, TK. We previewed it. Obviously, we had Claudio going over. Obviously, Tony Khan wants, I guess, AEW talent to hold ROH titles, minus Dalton Castle with the boys, who won the 6-man tag. Who knew that they were still even champions with Vincent and all them, who's in Honor No More and Impact. So they had to clean that up. But there was an article that came out via Fightful Select that kind of breaks down the timetable of that Saturday, which includes Gresham meeting with Tony Khan at about 4 p.m, talking about everything. He was not happy with the booking, direction of his character. He should have been. Jonathan Gresham wasn't once treated like a big deal in AEW. If Tony Khan's relaunching ROH, then even if you're going to have your champion drop, you have to show them as a big deal. Like how they did Booker T when he was WCW champ and came over to WWF. You knew Booker was dropping, but at least he was treated as champion, some type of major storyline. The deal with Claudio kind of happened. It was like there was no real big build-up. Claudio just came up and was like, hey, I want the title. Okay, sure, we're gonna give you the title. We're gonna wrestle. So there wasn't no real big up. Like, I mean, Claudio was involved with beefs with Eddie Kingston and Jake Hager, trying to figure all that stuff out. So there was no real big build-up with Jonathan Gresham. Meanwhile, Gresham is on Dark. Then all of a sudden, he's with Tully Blanchard Enterprises. I'm also wearing black to mourn the death of them, apparently. Tully's gone out of AEW ROH. The franchise don't exist no more. Here comes Prince Nana from under like a Nigerian bank loan scheme or something like that to like come and buy it and turn it back into the embassy. But he doesn't come out until halfway through the match with Gresham. We don't know if they're signed. Prince Nana doesn't help Gresham win the match against Claudio. All of it's just really bad booking, right? And Gresham talked with QT Marshall. He spoke with Sanjay Dutt, spoke with everybody. And apparently they wanted to keep it like butter, baby. You know what I'm saying? On a roll like butter. Smooth as Jonathan Gresham in the ring out here. So he speaks with Tony Khan. He's like, hey, my character's going crazy. Khan's kind of dismissing him. Y'all know how I go when you're a black person talking to the boss. You know what I'm saying? It's always angry black man whenever you address logical issues, like looking and whatnot. Apparently, he was told to talk to the coaches who talked to booking. My man was just being sandbagged and just pissed off with and not really paid attention to. And you knew this was the writing on the wall. So he said, you know what, bro? Get me out of here, man. Just you know, I think for him to pull up, for John Gresham to pull up without the octopus mask, not to be confused with Vince McMahon who tried to mask Octopussy, whatever. He pulled up without the octopus mask. That told you everything you need to know right there. So Jonathan Gresham, and if he plays his cards right, of course, there's been a lot of changes in WWE within the last, 3 minutes with Triple H now running creative. Jonathan Gresham is absolutely the prototypical Triple H NXT guy. So he plays his cards right. Tony Khan, you're not going to do anything with John Gresham. Everyone knows this. Get my man out of the contract. Yes, he won the title in April, and then he signed to AEW as a talent later that month. But he wasn't expecting this to happen. And don't put my man's on Dark or Dark Elevation. He is a world champion in multiple places, world-renowned wrestler. You say you want wrestling, well, then here it is, my guy. Here it is. You know what I mean? And I think that maybe, hopefully, he gets released, makes a few Impact appearances, maybe do some mixed tags with his wife, Jordan Grace, and shows up on NXT. And maybe he can get busy NXT. I would love to see Apollo Crews versus Jonathan Gresham. Let's run it back.
That would be a good one.
They've wrestled before, back when the Crews was Uha Nation. A couple independent shows. I think it was WWA 4 Super Show. Shouts to Kiera Hogan, backstage interviewer at that time. But like, they've gone before. So like, to see him over the years build their profiles up and running back, I think Gresham is perfect for WWE. And if he plays his cards right, Tony Khan, do the right thing. You know you have no use for Gresham. Get him up out of here. I mean, he joined Tully Blanchard Enterprises, and like 2 weeks later, the whole thing's gone. Tully's gone. The gimmick's gone. You know, Brian Cage and the other two dudes don't help him win the match. Prince Nana, it's bad. You know what I mean? And I think the honeymoon period with Khan and AEW and ROH has to be over. We just kept excusing this shit. We won't excuse it. WWE did it. So we can't excuse it with this. It was a bad booking. I don't know why the match even opened the pay-per-view. It's your world championship, ROH, Tony Khan.
Right.
This is the showcase part you have. So, you know, we're going to wait to see what happens with my guy, John Gresham. But, you know, I think he'll be okay. And let's hope the octopus inks a deal elsewhere.
All right, Mr. Bonner, what you got to say?
Well, let me add a couple of things to that. I totally agree in the idea that we saw the ROH television champion, the ROH women's world champion, and the ROH tag champions on AEW Dynamite and all other versions of AEW television far more than we saw the ROH world champion. It's kind of frightening. I remember he was on Battle of the Belts, and then he might have done a Rampage. But other than that, he's been on Dark. So that's a real problem for how you're presenting a world champion. Issue number two.
Champion.
Yeah, right. Issue number 2 is Ring of Honor needs their own television deal. Like, this is the part that is egregious to me. There's only 3 hours of television in AEW. and you have a massive AEW roster and now an ROH roster that you're somehow going to squeeze onto 3 hours of television. With everybody coming out pretty much with a belt, it confuses the viewer. What title is more important? And you can't expect the AEW commentators to put over the ROH championships like they would the AEW championships. So there's that. Here's a third thing with Jonathan Gresham. He could go to NXT, he could go to Impact, or he could spend more time building his own promotion called Terminus, which has been killing here in Atlanta. Terminus, Battle Slam, they are our sister brother promotions that are doing really, really well. And so he has the opportunity to establish what he wants to see as pro wrestling, and then watch that get funded or go wherever it's going to go. So I think he's got more options than the average Joe because he already has a promotion happening. My question is, if he ends up going to WWE, which I'm not sure he'd do, if he ended up doing that, would he be able to continue working Terminus and those kinds of promotions? I don't know. But I definitely think he has options, and he should exercise those options because as of right now, there really isn't enough room for another talent on AEW television.
And that's right. And in the midst of my rant, I did forget to bring up Terminus. He does have Terminus because he did mention that, well, not mention, we saw that he has deleted his account. I saw he deleted his account. There were some quotes coming out that he's kind of just over everything. So with the deletion of the account, does he want to wrestle anymore? Does he want to run Terminus with his partner? You know, it's interesting.
So I've heard a couple of things. There was a part I heard somewhere that he might leave the business, which I was kind of like, wow, now he's actually supposed to be on the Battle Slam card this Thursday. So I'll know Thursday whether or not he's really leaving the business. But this gets very interesting to see, because if he chooses to leave the business, then what happens? Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gresham will be doing a disservice to himself. I think he's super talented. He's been one of my favorites for the longest time. I remember the first time I saw him, I was watching, I heard about him and was like, man, okay, you know, good. Like, you know, brother kind of looks like me a little bit in the ring. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, you know, with the joint and I was like, yo, this motherfucker whooping ass. I really enjoy what he does, and to come out like with the octopus gear, and you know, him and Jay Lethal, I believe, were ROH tag champions, or they had like their beef. That's what really like sucked me in with him. It was him and Lethal going at it, and I think Pluto TV used to have like a ROH channel, or Plex, like one of the streamers used to have like a ROH channel. So I was able to catch up on a lot of ROH and really learn his story. And there's no doubt when Jonathan Gresham is on TV, you can't take your eyes off of him.
Sure.
There's no doubt. I didn't know who he was, but I said, I have to watch this guy. There's something about him that looks real. It's authentic. It's his strikes. It's his moveset. It's everything that we commend Daniel Bryan for, or Bryan Danielson. Sorry to go all JR on you. It's everything that we commend these technical wrestlers for. And he has that, you know, and you can't say, well, because he's 5'4". No, wrestling's meant to be that. Like, wrestling's meant to almost be that suspension of disbelief. And within the parameters of a grappling match, of a wrestling match, let's see who's going to go mano a mano and win. And I think Gresham showcases that. It's not like he doesn't have charisma. It's not like he doesn't have talent. Like, he checks all the boxes that you would want in a professional wrestler. And I think if we want to get away from all the flippy floppy stuff everyone says, then Gresham's the guy who can do that when necessary. So I thought with the time that him and Claudio had, he was professional way out. He did the job. Regardless, he did the job. He went on his back. So at least reward him from that and say, hey, the contract, we'll terminate it. We'll put a clause on you. We do something, but you're out of here. Thanks, man. And then we can see him elsewhere, because pro wrestling needs Jonathan Gresham.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
I don't even know how to follow all that up, other than to say in addition to all that, before we move on to our next story, Tony Khan did mention that he is fielding TV deals for ROH. So that is in the works. I think he definitely acknowledges that ROH needs its own dedicated platform. And according to the media call that he had on last week, Thursday, I think, or before that, he pretty much said that this pay-per-view was going to help to showcase that to other media entities. So we don't know what's going to happen with that. Definitely how you paint that picture, Kane. I could see why Gresham would leave. I did double check his account. He is non-existent on Twitter, and Instagram's not even a thing.
I think even the Terminus Twitter account is deleted too. I think even the Terminus account is also deleted.
That's scary.
Well, I mean, when you put so much of your time, and I've kind of been in this position before a few times, when you put so much your time into something that you love and you've had the opportunity, and it's like, you know, you're doing a good job, and the people that are in power are not respecting it. And then on top of that, they're like, oh, we're going to just have you do 8 minutes at the top of the show. Like, all that's just disrespectful in itself. So I could see why you're gonna be like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to see nothing. I'm like, when I finally was done with track, it took me a long time to watch track and field again. And even up to this day, I don't really watch it like I used to watch it. So I could see how he would be like, you know what, I need a moment to process, to see if I want to move into something else that I've been thinking about, or I want to re-enter it. So I can definitely see that. But up next, we have Miss Mimi joining us in the building. How you doing? Oh, your mic is muted.
Let's try it again.
There you go.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Kane, I think this is the first time I'm ever meeting you like in person. And virtual person.
Virtually in person. What up, Mimi? Mimi was on the mute. Now Mimi here. So,
I was, because I got my little mic. I'm matching Gerald today.
We all professionals.
How about
We're
that?
all professional. I'm a little soundy now. But how are you guys doing? Amazing story about Gresham. I just learned about him through the BRP 50 list, and I have been watching him, and I think he is a great technical wrestler. Need to really look into all of that. So awesome story, and I hope he stays in the business, because I was just getting used to it a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see.
Exactly.
We'll see what
I mean, again, he's Jonathan Gresham. He's the octopus. He has like 8 arms, so he can reach out to a lot of people.
I love that whole thing that I was just like, I didn't put the two people together until that list, and I think he's a phenomenal wrestler. Phenomenal. But today is Monday Night Raw, and I'm not sure if you guys have been following, but the Victor Perry is the teacher in Brooklyn, New York, that started the wrestling club with his students. He is a teacher at an after-school program at the KIPP AMP Middle School. His love for wrestling has brought him to create this amazing wrestling club. And tonight, WWE has sponsored 16 kids to go to Monday Night Raw at MSG. And I think we have them with us. Are they backstage? I think they're backstage. If I'm not
let me.
Hey guys.
Wow.
Yes, look at them. Look at their faces. That's awesome. So amazing. Victor,
wow.
Hey guys. Victor.
Hey, what's up?
How was the planning today? Talk to us. Was it crazy? Was it hectic?
It was raining, like it was a thunderstorm, but we made it. We're all dry. We're full. We've eaten a lot of food, so now we're ready for the show.
That is amazing.
Nice.
So guys,
that's dope.
Are you ready for Monday Night Raw?
Are you ready? Talk to us.
Yeah, we ready. Who are you looking for? Who are you looking forward to seeing? Who are you looking forward to seeing?
We are looking forward to seeing.
Becky Lynch.
Yo. Okay, that's right.
Rey Mysterio.
20 years. The Miz. The Miz is a legend. All right. Well, y'all have an amazing time. I won't keep you. Thank you so much for all that you do, Victor.
Thank you. Y'all take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh wow.
Oh,
that's
so
amazing.
Awesome.
That was epic.
That was awesome. That gave me goosebumps.
I be skipping weeks, but when I come, I'm gonna come with a bang.
There it is.
I mean, they pulled up. They pulled up
for it. I know y'all.
Yeah, they pulled up.
Ain't doing nothing, but I had to have them because this is amazing. Then also, so they're doing for me to take about. They want to take about 5 or 6 kids. You know me, I'm kind of like, we need to make sure like all your kids get to go. 16 kids may be a lot, but they're looking to take about 4 to 5 kids. I'm sorry. So far, we've raised half of that. And now we're looking to, it took us, 3 months or 2 months actually to raise half of that. By WrestleMania, we absolutely can meet that goal and maybe even take 10 kids. I always see a goal as just being
and,
like
you
a
know,
baseline.
that's something that like we like really need.
That's right.
For like Black wrestling, you know.
That's right. That's right.
For our Black wrestling fans, little boys and girls who look like us, and we can see us on television, and to see that we are targeted. People do care about our viewership. We do care about our dollars. Our dollars matter, and I think we've seen that more and more with the inclusion of hip hop, of the urban lifestyle in professional wrestling. I mean, we're looking at Gerard, who does this thing at Battle Slam and dealing with Lil Scrappy, who was just on Dynamite this past week, as my guy Max Caster got unfortunately washed by Austin Gunn. I was like, what's up with that? Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, Rampage.
I mean, it was a Rampage. Yeah. And this was following Kevin Gates and Jermaine Dupri. So, you know, with this wrestling club, I've seen them, like, you know, Carmelo Hayes. They really love them. Some Carmelo Hayes. Melo is money. Melo's reposted him. I think it's a real dope thing that's happening to show that, you know, professional wrestling spreads across all type of color or gender or whatever you want to call it. It's for everybody. Wrestling is for everyone, truly.
And he doesn't just watch wrestling, like he basically dissects it, right? Like if you guys love wrestling, he incorporates it within his program, i.e. creative writing, i.e. you know, theater, you know, the arts, all of that. So, and he's a singer himself. He's a singer-songwriter himself. He's on Spotify as well. So it's just amazing to see someone like him have this wrestling fandom, and, you know, is showing these kids not only, you know, just the wrestling aspect of it, but seeing these kids see people that look like them. Because I remember when I was growing up, I didn't have any. I didn't have a teacher that would even do this wrestling club thing.
Right.
I used to read the wrestling magazines, and my teacher used to be like, "You can't read magazines in for reading." So the fact that he's doing this is absolutely amazing, and the fact that so many people has come together to raise half of this goal is even more outstanding and amazing. And I just can't wait to see what else we can do, because I know we will meet this and exceed this goal.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually gonna, as we're talking right now, I'm actually gonna send it to our writer so we can highlight it and put it in on our website as well, because this is just it's an awesome goal. And like and like you were saying too, just having it in putting your love into other things. It's like somebody who loves entertainment, but there's so many things that you can do other than acting. Somebody who loves the sports, who loves basketball. There's so many things. And if you put that in front of kids, they can still do what they love and appreciate what they love. But there's so many different aspects. Like being a cameraman, they pay, that's money right there.
Right.
Once you get in the union, that's money right there. Like there's so many different avenues, but if you don't know that until it's too late, and then you're already, you know, blindsided by the likes of the real world, then you know, what's next? So,
and even to the aspect of the technical skills of it too, like building the ring, making sure the rings are tight, you know, safety measures, all of that. It just goes, there's so much that entails in it. And it's just not about wrestling anymore. It's just, it encompasses all. And just, you know, he's teaching them to be creative, to have their creative juices flowing. And that's, I absolutely adore Victor for doing that. And those kids were so cute.
Big shouts to Victor, and they're going to see some history tonight as well, because this will be the first ever WWE Monday Night Raw sans Vince McMahon. This is it. This is the first one without Vince.
Is it though?
At all places, at all asterisks.
This is MSG. Is he really not there?
I'm like, at all places too. MSG, like the home base of WWE, the Mecca, the home base of the company. So, I mean, in about an hour or so, we gonna see. If we see Titus O'Neil in the middle of the ring, then we know what time it is.
We ain't. Let's
I kind of want to forget that happened.
Yeah.
I have some catching up to do, so.
Yeah, so but shout out to him. Good.
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely. Let's move on. So we are bucking up at the end of our time. I have three stories that we can talk about. So I'll let dealer's choice, and you guys in the chat can also let us know which one you want us to talk about. So we have, Sasha and Naomi. We have Mandy Rose, and then we have Trish Stratus. So those are our three stories. We can only do one because it's already 4:00, and I don't want to keep too much people's time. So what's the dealer's choice? What are folks feeling like they want to talk about?
Now they're gonna want to talk about Sasha and Naomi.
Let me let Jenna know real quick.
Because she's like,
I mean, do you see this 4-box? Do you see this 4-box? You see this? You see who's in this 4-box right now? I mean, I love my Canadian babe Trish Stratus, and I enjoy Mandy Rose, but Mandy Rose wants to go to the main roster. I guess we discuss it right quick while we wait for Jenna to jump on. But girl, if you don't keep your ass in NXT.
Yeah, I'll quickly say this: NXT was the best thing to happen for Mandy Rose, without question. It allowed her to become the star that she's been trying to be the whole time. She's not having to figure out how to hang with Otis. She's not in the shadow of, of Sonya Deville.
Yeah.
Like she
or
can
that
be
creepy
the leader.
walkout song that she had that was weird.
Right.
Yeah, she's really doing well here.
She's doing well.
I let
Jenna, where you at?
Jenna know. She might be busy. She had something she had to do, but we can just start it off.
Sure.
Who wants to pitch this story? Sasha, we have Ron in the chat saying Sasha and Naomi. So who wants to talk? Who wants to be the first to talk?
I'm gonna let you guys go because I have purposefully avoided this conversation because I wanted real conversations before I even commented on. So I'm just going to listen to you guys and just sprinkle something on the ice cream, and then that's it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, man. We talking about Sasha or Mercedes might be debuting in Japan, doing some Joshi. She's not taking bookings until after January 1st. She's taking non-wrestling bookings. All of that, all of a sudden, over a weekend, has completely changed. We all know Sasha Banks is a Triple H gal. Triple H let him some Sasha Banks.
That's
Triple
right.
H enjoys the work of Naomi. And I think that those two together are ratings for WWE. Anybody but Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis can see that. But guess what? Those two people are out of here. They're gone. So with this new development, I would love to see the two of them come back. If they want to come back, though, it's on them if they want to do it, because regardless, they're still a McMahon running the company. According to the article on Wrestling Inc., Stephanie McMahon has been a huge champion for Sasha, Naomi, the complete women's roster as a whole. So I hope that Steph can, kind of amend some of the things that her daddy did. I think that's what a lot of this process will be between what Stephanie and Triple H has to do is kind of amend some fences to kind of fix some things that were happening. So hopefully if Steph could talk to him and say, hey, we want you here, quite frankly, that's Kirk Franklin's cousin, quite frankly, we need you here. So I hope they come back.
I'm so used to it now. It's just like,
Jeez.
I mean, I wanted to, because we and Jenna said she's driving, so hopefully she can hop on. I was hesitant to talk about this story because it's not a story in itself to talk about because we really don't know what's going on. So at the end of the day, it's just one of those things that we don't know. Naomi and Sasha both haven't said anything. They're going about their life. Naomi's enjoying her life. Sasha's doing her thing. WWE hasn't really said much other than take them off of the roster that we see and then the internal roster. So we still haven't seen anything that's we don't know what's going on. We don't know what the contracts were signed, but obviously, like Kane said, we know that Sasha is not taking any wrestling bookings until January 1st, but we don't know what that means. Is she still signed with WWE? She's still getting checks from WWE. And that's the little we know for Geez, everything's going off right now. That's a little we know. That's a little we know for Sasha, but Naomi hasn't said. I know Naomi hasn't said anything. So it's one of those things where, like I said, when we get these stories, I'm hesitant to talk about it. But myself and Jenna, we love us some Sasha and Naomi, so it's hard. Also, it's hard for me to not pick Trish. We can talk about Trish tomorrow. Sorry, Trish. But it's one of those things where
still time.
Right. Yeah, we don't. I know, right? So, okay, I think we have has time. But it's one of those things we don't know what's happening. We don't know what Stephanie really thinks. I've heard allegedly that Triple H is way more for women's wrestling than Stephanie is, but we don't know to what degree or what everything. It's just one of those things where hearsay. It's one of those things where I truly wish when everything settles, which it's not really going to do, that this is the makings of a TV show. This is the makings of a dynasty or new school in the making. Like all the characters are there. Like it's all that's what I'm saying with Vince. It's like you think that he's not going to be around for Raw tonight, but there's something called a cell phone. And his daughter and his son-in-law,
a Bluetooth,
right? Or it's not like they took the McMahons out to all the way. So
right.
Well, again, we don't know. Everything's alleged, but we're hoping that we're going to see them soon.
Well, here's what isn't alleged. We call Triple H the Game, but we really should call him the Great Mediator, because that's who he really is. Right. Cue Bruno Sammartino, who was boycotting the WWE Hall of Fame until Triple H showed up and had a conversation. The Ultimate Warrior, until Triple H showed up and had a conversation. We can look at NXT and how NXT was the first to have a women's division while the Divas division was happening on Raw and SmackDown. They called their belts the women's title before the Divas thing ever transitioned over in WWE. So we've seen the works of his hands. We know what Triple H is willing to do when he has the opportunity to do it. I think, and let's also think about this. The people that Naomi and Sasha had argument with are all gone.
Yep. Right.
Vince and John Laurinaitis. So I think there are incredible opportunities for them to return if they feel as though the landscape is right for them. And certainly it seems like Triple H and Stephanie would be the people to do. Now, the thing that we don't know that could complicate this, you guys are talking about Vince. That's not who you need to worry about. You need to worry about that co-CEO named Nick Khan. He's the one you need to worry about, because he's been the one he was the one that made the announcement this time last year that, NXT will be changing and this will be happening and that will be happening. And nobody saw him maneuvering his way into suddenly becoming the co-CEO of WWE. I'm waiting to figure out what that really means and how much power Stephanie really has versus Nick Khan. I'm interested to see that, because that to me was the big surprise of all of this, and that could really impact what happens with a Naomi, a Sasha, or whomever else might decide they might want to come back to WWE. But I think this gets very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think too, the reason why, and again, no shade to Stephanie, but I feel like Vince stepped down, and that was the caveat. Like, look, I'm going to step down. I'm going to go quietly, but my daughter over here, who's been in the business, you see, like, this is how I planned it. So I think it's still McMahon and Peacock.
Yeah, but remember, it was barely 2 months ago where they were trying to bury the same Stephanie.
Correct.
So, I mean, this is recent history. So I think there's still a lot that's going on that we don't know.
A whole TV
I'm telling
show
you guys that I Love You, Dad was very telling. That wasn't the emotional Stephanie. That was, we're acknowledging you. I love you, guy. Bye-bye.
You know what?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up. I mean, we out of here.
I'm telling
you. You bonafide.
I'm telling you.
We're gonna leave it at that.
I'm telling you. I think we're gonna have to read the tea leaves and look a little bit deeper in this, because this isn't the innocent Stephanie that Vince saved that was being crucified by the Undertaker. This is not that. She was buried. She was forced to leave, talking about, I'm going to go tend to my family. And a month later, she is the interim CEO.
Maybe she was done tending to her family.
And
exactly,
Trick is all healed up too.
Yeah, exactly. That boy got a new cyborg heart in him and everything. You know what I mean?
Telling you,
everybody's healthy. Everybody's
Guys,
healthy and ready to go to work.
The big story still hasn't been told.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
And we might not even hear it. So,
oh no.
I mean, all we can do is speculate.
We'll hear it in the documentary that Netflix actually grabs. Because that's gonna be the one.
That's the one. Ain't no WWE on ain't no AE television. Ain't no WWE. I want none of that. I want the Netflix one. I want the Vice one. I don't want Vice. You're right. It's the Netflix one.
It's the Netflix one.
Netflix or HBO, because I think Netflix they still follow a certain, like, I think HBO will go, and then Vice might make another one. Like, it's like when Fire Island came out, there was like 2 that was floating around. I think we might have to, but it's still, everything's still shaking up. So whoever is starting this documentary, we'll see. But with that being said, I think it's time for us to get out here.
Sorry, Jenna, we did it for you.
Sorry. I'm sure there's going to be more Naomi news. How it's going to be.
Shit for the Rock, Oos.
With that being said, Miss Mimi, how can everybody find you? Where can people find you? All that good stuff.
You can always find me on Tuesdays on Twitter Spaces. Myself, and my fix, Corey. We do a Twitter Spaces. We didn't do one last week, but we will do one this tomorrow on Tuesdays. And then, of course, on Thursdays, Club 835 is always popping on YouTube live with Black Wrestling. So come through.
There it is.
Come through his leg.
And Mr. Bonner, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Bonnerfied on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find me at Southern Honor Wrestling. Our latest show, SHW 41, is now on IWTV. It is crazy. Yes. So make sure you go check that out. This Thursday, I'll be calling the action at Battle Slam, where Lil Scrappy will be in the ring. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Jonathan Gresham is supposed to be there. We'll see if that really happens. All of that's going down. And then our next SHW show is coming up August the 5th. It's the Rumble Jack. It's a big, big show. And you can check out this merch, Bet On You, at ProWrestlingTees.com/Bonnerfied.
There it is. And Mr. Kane McCoy, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, I'm at Kane McCoy, CainMcCoy. Follow, enjoy, like, and come for tweets and stay for Buff Bagwell follows and how I spend my life.
They're the best.
Using my WWE Superstar credit card from Credit One. That's what I do.
I can't.
That's how I pay my internet with it. Right.
Oh my God, he's so funny. Okay. I love it. All right.
All right. So make sure you're following us on everything. Thank you guys for joining us. WWT Live, Monday to Thursdays, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Check out our website, www.talkpod.com. Has all our stuff there as well. All social media, www.talkpod. That was kind of funny. JD.
That is hilarious.
$25, I think, is how much is on there. So it's not maxed out. It's just got $25 on there. Yeah. That's the limit. Yeah,
hilarious.
Let it SmackDown, but not bring my credit score down.
How about that?
Wow. Follow us on everything. You can follow me on everything at TK Trinidad. Till tomorrow, guys. WWT Live. Also, today we do have a Raw after show, so definitely check out the Salt Shakers. I know they're gonna have a lot to say tonight. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of surprises tonight, so definitely check out our after show. Until next time, guys. Ciao.
Peace.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.